Hello, this is my Qadim 1 kiting guide. Okay, the basic kiting guide. You want to kill the slublings so they don't reach Qadim, otherwise, he gains a buff that makes him deal more damage. When it comes to survival, there's a few things. You might want to bring some boons, if possible, like regeneration or protection, maybe Aegis, a block, distort, that kind of thing. But part of survival also includes knowing what attacks to dodge, like the fireball wave, the meteor, not standing on the lines, the circle, so you always stay in the blue areas. If you have to port, as in bring a portal, then obviously that's what you're going to do. You don't want Qadim to destroy other platforms because he gains that same buff as when slublings reach him. Okay, so kiting in Phase 1 and 2, from what I've personally experienced on playing on both NA and EU, there are two kind of different starting sides, the NA side and the EU side. You can start on either the blue or the red side. It doesn't truly matter, but it does make things a little easier if we start on blue and then go to red and then go to blue and then to purple. This is a whole thing. So if you've tanked on this fight, you'll probably notice with the Hydra, the Matriarch, the Patriarch Wyverns, and of course the Apocalypse Bringer, there's a specific pattern, or I guess order, rather, to the attacks. They do 2 auto attacks, they do some kind of like medium size attack, then they do 2 auto attacks, they do the medium thing, 2 auto attacks, and they do a big attack. So for tanking, that's going to be, the big attack thing is really just the CC plus the teleport. So that's the group's job to not fail CC. If they get teleported, it's the group's job to not fail the CC. If they get teleported, they actually show up where the kiter is, which is always kind of funny. And hopefully, if they do that by mistake, hopefully they kill a slub or 2 while they're at it. Makes your life just a little bit easier. Anyway, so the thing is when you're kiting, Qadim is auto attacks. He throws 1 fireball, and then he throws a second one. They don't deal that much damage to you. But the third attack, the medium one, is going to be a bunch of little fireballs thrown right at you. You can dodge it, or you can sidestep right out of it, distort. But blocking it does not block all of them. Because there's like an initial hit, and then there's like a knockdown part. I haven't been hit by this in a long time, like 2 years maybe 3. But I'm pretty sure you also gained vulnerability stacks if you get hit by all of it. I don't fully remember, if I'm going to be honest, but I'm pretty sure that happens. So the order in which slublings spawn is like here, 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 so it's 1, 2, 3, and it just keeps repeating. So the thing you're going to want to know is there's the 3 slubs, and just like with tanking, the pattern for the attacks is going to repeat 3 times. So he does his first fire wave attack, you go here, he does a little spinny dance thing that turns this green area into fire, these lines, the circle, so you don't want to stand on any of those. Or if you have to go inside for any weird reason, you would have to jump over it or dodge through it. Try not to do that. And then he continues with his 2 auto attacks. He does the flame wave thing, you go over here, and then he does that spinny thing again. All this green stuff is on fire. And then when he goes to do the third wave attack, instead of a wave, it's going to be a meteor. A meteor is going to come down from the sky and try to kill you. That's when you move to the purple side. So if you were on the EU side, you would obviously go from here to here, and you continue with kiting. But before that happens, the reason why you want to leave that platform is because that platform gets set on fire and it's going to get destroyed. If you stand there, you're going to take a bunch of burning sacks, a bunch of damage, obviously. Plus, Qadim also uses like a laser. He puts it right on you. So when you go to the purple, I would recommend that you don't dodge the meteor, but you step out of it. You sidestep it, jump over. Because if you dodge twice, you dodge once, wait a second, dodge again, you'll avoid most of the damage from that laser and you'll be totally fine. As you can see from what I wrote down here, if you're bringing a portal, you can easily run from the purple part to the part that's off screen, so from here or there to over here. Well, I guess a little bit over here rather would be the more realistic thing, to place your portal, come back, place it there during a split phase. You can also find out pretty easily while doing kiting that the right side is closer during phase 1 split, so you can easily get there. During the phase 2, it doesn't really matter all that much, you're right there anyway, so who cares. So personally, I recommend starting on the right side during the first phase. During the second phase, it doesn't matter, just pick a side, flip a coin, whatever. So now that's the main thing you need to know for phase 1 and 2. However, if your lamp person is taking a long time, or if the group's damage is really low, and you have to go to a third platform, you do not want to go to this one. In phase 1, do not go there. In phase 2, you can go there, but I wouldn't really recommend it. Doing this platform in phase 1, you're going to be setting that on fire. People are going to have a hard time getting to this pyre over here, so it's not a good idea. You want to go to this one instead. In phase 2, you can go there. There's enough time that people can just jump over and make it here safely. And there's enough time that they can just wait even, because the time it takes for them to run over to here, this one's going to be fixed. It's whatever. So in phase 2, if you have to do a third one, you want to go to here instead. That way this one can be completely ignored and these two are safe. Okay, phase 3, the final phase. If your group has good damage, you'll only have to do 2 platforms like in the first 2 phases. If it's kind of low, or I guess maybe average I should say, then you'll have to do 3. If it's low, you might have to do 4. If you have to go beyond 4, I've never seen that in my life. You want to start in the blue part. Basically, what you're going to do is your standard kiting. When this one gets destroyed, go over here, kite here, you're done. Zarmar shows up somewhere over here. He has his blue healing thing. You just run on over, get healed, wait for the others. If you're portaling, obviously you would jump over there, place your portal there, come back. Or if you're doing the second portal after this, then I'll show you that at the end of the guide. Now, if you have average DPS, you're going to want to tank or kite over here in the silver gray area. For the second platform, you go over here, and then for your third, you go there. So you'll probably notice, hey, wait a second. If this is the second platform you kite on, and that was the first one, you can't just walk over. And that's true. You actually have to jump and glide over. Not this way, but this way. And then, continue kiting here. If you have to do a 4th platform, you're going to use the bouncing ball things, go over there. In the center of the platform, on this one over here, there's going to be a fire lava thing right here. There's also going to be a circle of that there, and here. So when you jump over, you're going to land in the center. Immediately dodge out, go to one of the sides like here, or there. You can immediately kill one of the slublings that spawn, and the moment the fire fields despawn, just go to your corner, keep kiting. Just keep on kiting. That's all you got to do. Alright, so let's get started on some of the actual builds finally. Deadeye has 2 main versions, using either the rifle or the spear. The spear version, you can genuinely run the exact same traits, same utilities for both of them. It really doesn't matter all that much. So if you're using spear, the main thing is you just use F1 plus F2, first F1, then you F2 on a slubling, it kills it, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Your spear 4 is a block. When a slubling spawns behind you, you can just melee it, it'll die in like 2 hits or something. You're fine. If you're using rifle, you have to press a rifle skill 5, so you're seated on the ground. You're going to click on a slubling, press F1, then use a rifle 3. That way you deal some extra damage to a marked target via F1. You're also giving yourself a little bit of quickness. And because you killed the slubling, your F1 is refreshed. You click on the next slubling, kill it, keep repeating. But when the fire wave attack happens, because you're seated, your movement is super slow, so you have to dodge it. For the rifle one, you can, well, for both actually, you can take a short bow if you have to do the portal. So you might drop something like the Mercy skill, or maybe the Power Signet, and take Shadow Portal instead. Place it where you need to, come back. If you're not good at doing spear DPS rotation, you can just take the akimbo pistols, as in pistol for the boss phase, and that's going to be pretty easy. So for all of these builds, you can genuinely just run the DPS version, the full Berserker, and you will be A-okay. Okay, Herald. You can do this as a Q DPS or full DPS Herald. I've done this as a Q DPS by mistake many times, so I can tell you it works. But it's definitely, I think, slightly easier as a DPS. You're going to use a hammer, and then sword. Sword is obviously for the main boss phase. Okay, so how this one works is that you start on the side, obviously. You want to get yourself to 100% energy before anything even spawns. So don't keep any facets up before the fight starts. Don't use anything until the thing spawns. Use your 3 middle ones immediately. So you have, your Fury, you have your Might, and you have some Swiftness. The Swiftness facet is what you will use to kill whichever slub spawns in your corner. The moment that one spawns, you kill it with that. You press your heal facet and your protection facet, which is your heal skill and your elite, and just keep those up. And keep killing whatever spawns in each corner. During this first part, you can actually use your elite and kill the one that spawns in your corner, and then have your Swiftness one up for a little bit so you can just upkeep some of that extra might that's gained from having boon uptime and all that jazz. And then once you hit like 0% energy, all you have to do is, that's the end of the actual first platform by then. You go to the second platform, you'll probably hit like 30 to 40% energy by the time the first Lobling spawns. Once again, get started the same way you did on the first platform, and just keep repeating that. If you really need to, in an emergency, you can use your heal facet, but you want to be very strategic when you do this. Like, if the meteor is coming, use it then, but don't use it if you plan on going onto a fiery platform, because if Qadim moves to the next platform and you're on that platform and you're using that to heal yourself, as in you stand there, take that damage, turn it into healing, he'll probably destroy that platform and keep moving and destroying other ones and gaining stacks. So be aware of that. So once you have used your heal facet, use your F2, extend the boons, and try to keep those boons going as long as you can and staying alive with that. Okay, Dragon Hunter. For this one, you're going to be using the longbow. Your second weapon set can be Great Sword, it could be Sword Focus, Scepter Focus, Spear, whatever. The main thing is you're just going to be using your traps on the sides, but you also want to be careful that you're not actually destroying them. So if you have trouble surviving with this one, you can actually swap out the Elite trap for the Signets. You get some passive healing. If you're placing traps on the boss, just know to use them before the 70% of the boss HP, or like 40% for the second phase, because if they stay a long time, or if they don't get triggered, you will end up destroying the lamp and bringing the lamp person back super fast. For this one, you can place a trap at one corner, place the trap at the second corner, come back, or put the elite one on the opposite corner, go back to the corner you want to start on, place the second trap. When something spawns, use number 4. That thing dies with that in an auto attack. The next thing spawns, use number 3. It dies with that in an auto attack. The next one spawns, use number 2. That dies, auto attack. You could pretty much just keep doing that, or do skill 2, auto attack. The next one spawns, use 3, auto attack. The next one spawns 2, auto attack if it's up by then. Or do 4, auto attack. And just keep repeating that. And since you have your F2, which is a heal and a Condi cleanse, you can use that for healing. You can use Litany of Wrath to heal. And obviously your F3 is an Aegis, a block, so you can use that. The thing I'm talking about, the traps, though, it also applies to Soul Beast. Now, Soul Beast, there are, I guess, 2 main versions here. The Axe main hand version, which I think is the more dangerous one, because you have to go into that green circle where things can be on fire, because it has a pretty short range. So instead, you should be running the longbow version. The Axe main hand also means you can't really do the CM because of that. So similar to the F2 from Dragon Hunter's thing, you're going to be taking Healing Spring as your heal skill. It also does Condi Cleanse in case you get hit by the wave attack. You're also taking a Moa, and you're going to be using that to help you kill some of these slublings when they spawn. You're going to be using your longbow skill similar to on Dragon Hunter. Use number 1 here, or you're going to use like number 3 on one slub, and then to an auto, it dies. The next one spawns, you can hit it with the 2, it dies. The third one spawns, hit it with the 4 and an auto, it's dead. Then a 5 and an auto for the next one. It's pretty easy. Blades 1 is a little bit difficult, but I think this is best done with a rifle. You could do it with a spear, but it's a little too slow to be effective. You're not going to use your dragon triggers, but if you really want to use a dragon trigger, in your traits there's a thing called Immortal Dragon, so when you do a dragon trigger, you can heal. During that, you'll want to use that when the slub spawns in your corner, but you want to have enough flow so that you can fill up your bar fast and immediately hit it and kill it and heal yourself, if you want to do that way. Otherwise, you're taking the stimulants as your heal skill. It heals for like 7,000-ish, so when you need it, you have 2 charges. You use it once to heal yourself up like 7,000. There's also a little bit of healing that comes after the initial use, so you get like another little bit. If you use it twice, on the DPS, Blades 1. The elite skill will give you 1 charge of your heal back, so you can use it a 3rd time if you need it. This one is just kind of simple, you just sit there. Same thing with the longbows for Dragon Hunter and for Soul Beast, and just like both of those, you have a knockback skill on your weapon, so if the one that spawns in your corner, you know you can't deal with it immediately, you can just knock it back a little bit and just auto-attack it to buy yourself some time, or just ignore it for a couple of seconds while you pushed it back so it has another 2 seconds to get to where it was at, and deal with the other one that's already spawned. And like I'm saying here, you can drop overcharged cartridges for the Signet of Might, so you can have a little bit more damage. Okay, so Mechanist. Mechanist, you bring the rifle turret. It can sometimes be destroyed by Qadim's attacks, so you might want to be a little careful of that. Your Jade Mech can also be killed, and you probably want to set that to the aggressive mode too. Which means, Mechanist, you will have to use your function key stuff, or click on them, to bring your mech back to you, or the F1, 2, and 3 to make it attack a specific subling. You're going to also take a rifle, and since rifle power mech uses Thief Relic, you're going to have a pretty decent time upkeeping at least a few stacks, even without Alacrity. So killing slumblings will be a little bit easier, but obviously you don't want to use your rifle 5 to move around. Just stay where you are, move when the wave attack happens, move when the meteor. You can also take the Golem Mancer rune, which spawns a fun little golem friend, so that can make things even easier while it kills things. Okay, a Virtuoso. This one is difficult compared to some of the other ones because your only source of healing comes from your Signet. You want to take a dagger plus sword along with a greatsword. You're going to use your 2 big long cooldown skills in the very beginning, The first slub that spawns, you're going to use your elite on it, kill it. If that's the one in your corner, then instead you want to start with F5 to kill that, and then use the elite on the second slub. Otherwise, reverse that, so the elite's used on the other side, and then your corner, you kill it with the F5. You place dagger 3 where the other slub spawns. You'll walk through that, and it should die. If you're not crit capped, then it might not die. You might have to hit it with a sword 2 or an auto attack. Otherwise, when the next one spawns, dagger 2 auto attack, and by then you'll have enough daggers up, 5. So when the next slub spawns, you can use your F1 to kill it. You can use your sword 4 to stun a slub if it spawns in your corner, similar to the other ones with the knockback, so you buy yourself a second of time. You can use your sword 5 to get a phantasm, which will also give you a dagger, and then you can use F2 on a slub to kill that one. If you don't have your dagger 2 and 3 up when it's time to move, you can swap to greatsword. Your 4 skill will just kill whatever, but your 2 and 3, just like the other builds here, is going to require an auto attack in order to kill it after you hit it with a 2 or with a 3. But be careful with your greatsword 3 skill because it keeps you in place for about a second. Now, similar to the Deadeye, you can bring a portal. If you're running, well, I guess it depends on which version of Power Vert. The current one runs this mantra. You can swap the mantra for the portal. If you're running the version that uses the Phantasm skill with the shield, that I don't remember the name of off the top of my head, you can swap that for the portal. Then you go to the portal spot, place it, come back, place it at the pyre. When it's at like 20-30%, you go to the boss, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There are no videos or guides on this build that I can find at the time, so there's only my one log of me doing this, which didn't go as planned because of my group failing a CC, but that one I can link in the description. Now, Weaver. So like most of the ones in this guide, it doesn't have portal. It's pretty much only just Deadeye and Vert. So this one's way more complicated. As you can see, I had to write out the whole thing from the person who was actually demonstrating how to use it. You're going to be in staff, reliving the glory days of Staff Weaver when I did like 47.3,000 DPS back when Path of Fire launched, crazy stuff. You're going to bring the Heal Signet, the Glyph of Storms, Arcane Blast, Primordial Stance, and Weave Self. So, as you can see, the first slub you kill it with Fire 5, the second with Air 5, and then you have Fire 2 plus Air and Fire number 3. And you fully attune to Fire to make the auto on the third slub. You can use Glyph Storms on the Fire to kill the fourth slub, use Fire 2 on the next one, and you can do that on the same slub if it survives a Meteor Shower, which, will probably happen if we're being honest, because that is pretty spread out. And then you can swap to Earth Fire to use Earth number 2 and 3 for the slub in your corner. Then swapping back to Fire to use Earth number 2 on the next slubling to use Earth 5 on it to kill it with 1 or 2 auto attacks. Then swapping back to Air to use Air Fire number 3 and then Air number 2 on your corner slubling, then attuning to Fire Air to use Air 5 on the next slub. You can then start swapping back to Water because at this point you will now be moving to the second platform. You can give yourself some barrier, give yourself some regen, but however, make sure that you go back to Fire Water for easy access to some more damage to kill the first slub that spawns, and you keep repeating this rotation to kill slub. It's honestly complete and utter pain, but that is how it goes. And you can also do this with Scepter Focus or Scepter Warhorn with like Weaver or Tempest. It works to various degrees, and you can also try this with Fresh Air on Tempest or something if you want to use the Overload. Finally, melee-based kiters. This is possible, but quite dangerous. These don't really work that well on CM, but you can try it. This is like the super advanced type thing. This is like high risk. I don't know if I should even say high reward. It's just super risky. You can do this with, Spellbreaker, Vindicator, Willbender, even Dragon Hunter if you wanted to do those as melee stuff. The thing is, you want to have skills with movement. So you want to be able to easily move to the next slub, kill that immediately, go to the next one, keep doing it. For example, here we're talking about Spellbreaker and Vindicator. Vindicator's Nomad Advance is good for that. Revenant Greatsword has, I think it was Greatsword number 3 that moves you forward, so you can use that. Warrior has a bunch of stuff with their Greatsword and some other utility skills. There are also some short-ranged builds that aren't obviously melee, but like I was talking about Soul Beast using Axe main hand. That one, you can't, use it in challenge mode really, but you will have to go into the center area. Obviously not on the Qadim's hitbox, but you can kill slubs that way. There are okay, so short-ranged builds that, these aren't melee, but stuff like the Soul Beast using main hand axe, you would have to go into the green circle and just hang out there, jump the lines, avoid the flame wave, avoid the meteor, but you can walk around, kill slublings. It doesn't really work in CM, but, that's how it is. So, here's some things you can do to help you stay alive. The Zakiros Relic helps you when you gain some HP when you attack. Food that reduces damage, like the oysters with pesto sauce, or something that heals you a little bit every few seconds, like the mango pie. Then you have Sigil. You have things like the Transference Sigil that gives you some healing, concentration to extend boons that you give to yourself, so you have that kind of stuff to help you live. Finally, portals. Okay, so this, as I already mentioned in the very beginning, I'll just go straight back to that page real quick. If we're doing portal, there is a platform here, there's a platform over here. You're going to place your portal not here at the edge of this platform. You're going to go over here to this one, place your portal, come back, and place that for phase 1, phase 2, again, there, but over here. Now going back, so you can see the phase 3, the final phase portal. You're going to place a portal over here. Usually, if you have a chrono tank, they're going to place it over there instead. And then, once these ones are moving, and they stop moving, you'll place the portal, and you teleport over here. When you're here, if the chrono tank did the first portal, and they didn't bring Mimic to do the second one, then you can place your port somewhere over here. Not here, but like here. Anywhere over here, maybe except for that. And then your chrono tank would use a Rifle 5 to give you a personal portal somewhere here, and you take it, bada bing, bada boom, you're over here now. When the boss starts the animation to move over here, or just, leaves, place your portal, everyone ports over here, boss is there. It probably has like 5 to 10% HP, another like 5 seconds of damage, it's dead. That's kind of all you need to know for portals, so that's it. Alright, Qadim 1 kiting gameplay, let's take a look. Kiting goes pretty damn fast, I'm not gonna lie, so it's gonna be hard to keep up with what's happening. Anyway, I'm gonna have all my utility facets up right now, except for the swiftest one. I'm gonna use that one on the one that spawns in my corner. Just going to auto attack the first one, kill that, use swiftness right there. Move out of the way of the wave. As you can see, you don't need to dodge it, you can just walk out. Kill that guy. Next one's coming. I can either wait in the spot that I was, or move forward a little bit like that, to have an easier time killing it. Going over to the next one, again, moving closer, so you can kill it faster. Don't have to wait that long. Once again, using swiftness, facet right there. Done and done, done deal, moving again. Alright, meteor's coming up very soon. Meteor's right there, jump, make it to the next platform. As you can see, I'm getting laser, dodge once, dodge twice. Avoid most of the damage like that, alright? Okay. Again, using the swiftness one right there. Moving out of the way of the wave. Trying to keep up. Gotta kill that guy. Alright, that slub's dead. Moving to the side, getting to the next one. Here comes this one to the side. Phase is over. Moving to the left side platform. These guys are actually doing a different kind of portal strat than the one as I have mentioned in the tanking guide, as well as the guide here, where they're placing the portal on Qadim, taking it from Qadim straight to the boss, and as you can see, I actually had to check and make sure I wasn't using my quick DPS build. Nothing wrong with it, but getting a little bit more damage out of doing this one, I think is worth it. Alright, so dodging here, You can also jump that. You can either go to the side and jump sideways over it, or you can walk backwards and jump forwards over it. You can also jump straight up in the position that you are, like right now. The only problem with that is that you need to have protection, otherwise you're going to die. Alright, here we are going to the next place. Since I already had that facet up, I decided to just keep it up anyway. Use my F2 to try and extend some of the boons for the immediate use. In reality, most of them do, in fact, like, fall off. So you don't get much of a use, but, if there's a lack, it's going to help you get stuff off. So it's not that big of a deal, I think. Continuing like the first phase. Sometimes, if I am fully aware of the fact that my group does have pretty decent damage and the Lamper is fast, I might actually use my Elite to kill a Slubling, just because I don't really need to have it anyway. Here we go, next platform. Again, dodge and dodge from the laser. And here's the end of phase on the same platform. Because I'm kiting here, sometimes I will use my heal facet because this imp, or likewise if there's something else that could be there, I will take a ton of damage. I don't want to die, so I'll just use my heal facet to heal myself. There we go, back here, back to the boss. Using my stuff, getting back to damage. Alright, since we saw that, I'm just going to skip to the next kiting phase. Alright, here we go. Remember, if you're on Herald or something, you want to be on the right stance, like Glint here, and your correct weapon set, as in hammer. So if you're on Deadeye, you would want to be back on your rifle at this point. Whenever the end of the phase comes, proceed like normal. I do, in fact, mess up a little bit in this final phase. I was getting a little distracted by what was happening in the voice chat, so probably notice when I start taking a little bit more damage and end up actually letting a Slubling through so Qadim gets a stack. That's definitely a failure on my part. Alright, here we go. Meteor back, moving to the right. Again, keeping up the heal and the protection ones. Just going at it. Sidestepping that. If it's early in the platform's life, you can just dodge it. And as you can see right there, when the fire is lighting up the circle and the lines, you do want to jump over it or dodge that. Again, dodging that, or jumping it. And here comes the meteor. I actually lost track of where we were in timing. And because I made that mistake, as you can see, I decide I'm just going to heal via the flame thing. I take that, I keep my other fastest up so I can get the stun break immediately, so I don't get knocked over. Got the 15 stacks of vulnerability, not invulnerability. Sidestepping that again, trying to get my stuff back up. Need those boons to keep killing. Keeping on, here we go. The end of the phase is happening right now. Alright, here's Zomros. I don't think that does any damage, but I've never actually paid attention. And then here's me typing that I let him get a stack. And you can read some of the reactions, because I think the people that responded were in my party, so you can see that. Yeah, someone's saying, that's a reset, and someone's saying banned. Anyway, here comes the portal. Thankfully, the commander who's doing the portal is actually doing the double portal, so they're going to mimic this portal, which you will see in a moment. Okay, we take that portal, and immediately on the right, you can see the commander runs off. He's going to place one at that corner, well, near the corner, rather. And then we go to the boss, start smacking him. He comes back. Unfortunately, there wasn't another Chrono who could rifle 5 the commander back to us real quick, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, the portal to go to the next spot. It's coming up pretty soon, I think at like 5% or so. Yep, there it is. That's the animation. You drop it, take it. He has 3 HP, or 3%, 2%, 1%, and it's done. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment in the video here. At the start, you saw my Discord, so you can send me a message on Discord. You also saw my in-game thing, so if I'm online, you can ask me there as well. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.